Hi, Mark here. Monday, March the 2nd. It's going on 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And as we watch the markets unfold, settle down following the US and Israel strike on Iran 3 days ago now, and the first market reaction was when the markets opened last night with the Asian session, followed by the European session. And now I think that the US session is underway. We're starting to see some kind of pattern emerging. Firstly, US dollar index, US dollar strengthening strengthening from the get-go and continuing to strengthen, as you can see. On Friday, it closed at 97.57, the index, a gap higher to start the new week, 97.85. That was last night during the Asian session, 2 days after the initial strike. And as you can see, demand for US dollars has continued. Demand for US dollar is strong, and certainly US dollar is proving to be the safe haven currency, the global reserve currency. And that's certainly where, from an investment point of view, traders and investors are are seeing the US dollar as the safe haven asset that's always been perceived to be. And interesting, with the US dollar having weakened the way it has this year, struggled to fight back, now in times of extreme uncertainty and in war, and no less the US being one of the warring parties, still we see the US dollar strengthening. And from a financial point of view and perspective, clearly the safe haven asset. I've got support at 97.72. I've got resistance at 98.55. We will see how this plays out throughout the rest of the US session now that the European session is coming to a close. Could there be a turnaround of this area of the 98.55? Sellers step in and a turnaround from strong to, if not weak US dollar, some kind of a sell-off. We will see how that plays out. Let's have a look at the majors, starting with the euro against the US. And there you see, plain to see how the US dollar has strengthened against the euro, a gap down to close to open the week, closed on Friday 118.17, opened the new week 117.61, and has continued to be sold off the euro. 118 resistance, 116.97 the support. So already 100 pip move. We'll see if that can continue. If it does continue, and US strength against the euro through the rest of the US session, or if we're going to get some kind of a turnaround at this 117 area and buyers do step in. But at this point, certainly very strong dollar against the euro. Let's have a look at the pound against the US. Somewhat different picture here. Also, US dollar strengthened against the pound all the way down to support at 133.13. But you can see the wick left behind here. So there has been a bounce, and US has given up gains against the pound. The pound has bounced back and now sitting pretty much where it opened, if notwithstanding the gap lower to open. US strength has not been able, or US has not been able to maintain its gains, its earlier gains against the pound. 133.13 support, 134.50 is resistance. Through the rest of the US session, we'll see whether the US can recoup those losses it's given up here, and whether it can continue to strengthen against the pound, or if the pound does add to this bounce and look back up at the 134.50 resistance area. US against the yen. Certainly no fight back by the yen, similar to what you saw against the euro. US very strong against the yen, closed last week at 156, opened the new trading week at 156.62. That's 60 pips higher, and now sitting at 157.69, looking up at the 158 level. So strong US dollar, been in an uptrend. From here, the middle of February, the uptrend is continuing. US dollar boosted by the conflict in the Middle East. US dollar getting stronger and sitting now at a tough resistance level. The 9th of February, we saw this high. We saw sellers step in at this level. We're now at that level again. Of course, different circumstances fundamentally. We'll see if US dollar strength does continue, or if we're going to get some kind of a turnaround or bounce down from these levels. Doesn't look that way at this point in the US session. Let's have a look at the US against the Canadian. Earlier on, we did see the US weaken against the Canadian. The Canadian showed some strength, support at 136.39. US dollar bounced up off that support level, continuing to strengthen against the Canadian. I've got resistance at 136.88. Buyers will be looking up at the 137 level. Tough level to maintain above. Hasn't been able to do so pretty much through February and over the last few days. Keeps getting held up, and sellers are guarding this resistance level. Different circumstances again. We'll see if US dollar strength can continue and does continue against the Canadian. Bear in mind, the Canadian dollar often does go hand in hand or have a strong positive correlationship with the price of oil. And as the price of oil does go up, which we've seen, could have an effect on just how much the US strengthens against the Canadian. But for now, looking up at that 137 level, we're seeing the US strong against all the majors, least so against the pound for now. We've got our resistance support levels to work with. Good trading, and I'll see you at the end of day.